This is an NBC News special report, live from the Staples Center in Los Angeles. Here is Brian Williams.
And good day from Los Angeles, and so our coverage begins of this massive event, the memorial for Michael Jackson at the Staples Center just behind us here. It is estimated that before it's over, this will be viewed in part or in all by between 750 million to 1 billion people around the world. The crowd estimate in this part of Los Angeles is a bit tougher to define. Something around 250,000, according to police, who say people have come to be a part of this event, though tickets have been severely limited. And to keep security in the crowd, about 3,500 LAPD officers. The casket of Michael Jackson arrived at this location within the past hour, and we're hearing reports from inside that all is pretty much ready to be underway. I'm joined here on our platform adjacent to the Staples Center by my colleague, NBC's Lester Holt. Lester, you get to put this in perspective as events go, events that you and I have watched in our lifetime.
It's hard because I look out here, Brian, and I look out and I see the Staples Center, I see the camera platforms, the people, and I think Grammys. Last time I was here several years ago covering the Grammys, it has the feel of one of those type events, an Academy Award. What's missing is the red carpet. Celebrities are coming in the back here because this is a memorial over the loss of someone, but it is an event. And yes, there are mourners here, but there are people from around the world here who just want to be a part, they want a piece of this moment in history. Walking up here, I saw a guy speaking loudly away in French on a cell phone, dressed like Michael Jackson. Everywhere you look, it's a sight. And
the concentric circles of security were formidable trying to get to this arena today, even those of us who have the requisite blue wristbands that indicate you're allowed inside the perimeter. Many stops, many LAPD officers making sure all those who are in here belong in here. Our own Lee Cowan is inside the Staples Center. Lee, what activity do we have going on so far?
Well, just a short while ago, Brian, everyone was told to take their seats, that the service would be beginning momentarily. The mood here has really been driven in large part by the Michael Jackson music that's been playing. When it is a softer tempo song, the mood tends to be a little bit more quiet, and then when it's a song that's more upbeat, people tend to get into it a little bit more. It definitely has more the feel of a concert at times than it does a memorial service. You might be able to see behind me there the stage where all of this will be taking place. Bathed in a blue light, there's a cascade of flowers down in front of the stage. Some musical instruments there as well. Presumably the family members of Michael Jackson and close friends will be sitting in those front couple of rows there. A lot of talk about just how many people would be filling this arena. We can see from our vantage point at least several pockets of empty seats. It's unclear whether some of those though will be filled by the family members and friends that are coming in behind the funeral procession, or whether those will remain empty. A good portion of those, as you know, Brian, were tickets that people had won without really thinking they might get it, and in the end didn't have the money or the wherewithal to actually come back and fly to get here in time for this memorial. Again, Brian, all of it expected to get underway here very shortly. We're expecting it to last about 90 minutes or so. We don't have an exact program. What we do have is a tribute to Michael Jackson's life. In it are a whole host of various pictures throughout his life and messages from every member of the family and close friends saying what they will miss the most about Michael Jackson. Again, all of it getting underway here shortly. Brian, back to you.
All right, Lee Cowan, who will be checking back in with Lester Holt here with me. I'm reading from the list of celebrity participants: Kobe Bryant, Mariah Carey, Berry Gordy, Jennifer Hudson, Magic Johnson, Martin Luther King III, Lionel Richie, Smokey Robinson, Brooke Shields, Usher, Stevie Wonder. I'm quite sure there will be other names not on this list. And yet, Lester, I know you've seen what I've seen over the past few days. Some people are mystified. Some people are angered at the amount of news media coverage, the tonnage, the hours. already devoted to the death of Michael Jackson as an event in this country, and people are grappling with it.
And you heard Congressman King, Long Island congressman in New York, who
video on YouTube got him in.
Video on YouTube, who was very, very pointed in his criticism of Michael Jackson and his legal issues, and he might have struck a nerve, I think, with a lot of Americans who were trying to process. I think we're all trying to process this, because as much as we celebrate the music of Michael Jackson, and as much as those who around him would only want us to concentrate on that, we can't ignore the other parts of his life, some which were very deeply troubling. And I think that makes this all the more difficult. You asked me a moment ago to compare this event, and I was going to go a place, and I'm going to go there now, and I'll be careful how I say it. The last time I saw something that I think on this magnitude was covering the arrival of a new pope at the Vatican. Now, different stories. I'm just talking about the media, the amount of attraction, the people, the helicopters in the air, just that sense of all eyes on this piece of the world at one time. That's the closest thing I can recall to something on this scale. It's amazing.
Part of it has to do with the explosion of media outlets. I don't know when I've seen more cameras lined up at a single venue. We've been talking about crowd size, crowd control. NBC's Mike Taibbi is here inside the complex with us, and he can tell us about some of those efforts so far this morning. Mike?
Yeah, Brian, it's been amazing actually to watch the way the security in this perimeter has concentrated in this area, and the atmosphere that's resulted from all those cops, 3,500 you said, I heard 4,000 if you count the 500 right at the perimeter around the Staples, is a kind of a subdued, huge crowd with a feeling of a big event, unlike anything I think you or Lester or I have ever covered in our many, many years doing this. And you have to think that, actually, you think about this in terms of what happened in the previous 4 years since the end of Michael Jackson's criminal trial. But for those 4 years, he essentially has been a non-story in American newsrooms, across the country, on sites of music downloads. Michael Jackson was a non-story. Even the announcement of his upcoming concert series a couple of months ago excited a couple of days' coverage, and that was it. And now I think you're seeing what happens when people rediscover the reasons they fell in love with Michael Jackson all those years ago. His music, what he represented as a performer, the uniqueness of his abilities as a performer. Before all of that happened, and everybody knows what that is, Lester made reference to Representative Peter King, who went to Notre Dame Law School, so presumably knows about the presumption of innocence. Despite that, he, like many Americans, had a very negative opinion about Michael Jackson. Some of that opinion, much of that opinion, washed away on June 25th, the day it was discovered that Michael Jackson, an iconic legend, had died. Brian?
Yeah, and Mike, we've also been talking about how a lot of different forms of media have been featuring Michael Jackson over the past few days since we initially learned of his death. Safe to say he's on the cover of most of the magazines you see at the newsstand, certainly Time and Newsweek. Time magazine put out a special edition immediately following word of Michael Jackson's death. And Mike Taibbi, you mentioned something crucial about today. I was surprised coming into those concentric circles I mentioned earlier at how somber this crowd was. It is well managed, yes. There's the sheer LAPD tonnage to accomplish that, but it is not boisterous. There's none of that in the air. People are moving slowly, and moving for the most part very quietly.
Yeah, it is, as Lester said, not unfettered celebration. You cannot ignore the rest of the Michael Jackson story. It's there. I'll tell you a story back from the trial. Back in the second week, a Harris poll was taken showing that 3/4 of Americans believe that Michael Jackson was what Representative Peter King said he was, a child molester. Only 5% had a positive opinion about him, lower than O.J. Simpson, lower than Saddam Hussein. And one day we played one of his CDs in a parking lot on the speakers of our car, and within 30 seconds, dozens of people were around the car dancing and celebrating. It's that duality of opinion that people have about Michael Jackson, this extraordinary, once-in-a-lifetime talent, who in so many ways in his public persona was admirable, was somebody who excited you to be alive and to be of the same human race as he was, and then this other part, which you don't really know about. Nobody knows the truth. I don't know the truth. You don't know the truth. Only a few people who are young men now, who were young boys when they made the allegations, know the real truth. Who Michael Jackson was. It's a duality in his personality, his persona, his legend, his legacy, that isn't going to be resolved today, and that makes this celebration a somewhat muted celebration. You're right, Brian.
Is this the forgiveness, the power of forgiveness, or is it the power of fame? When we talk about those kind of numbers.
Yeah, and I think I don't know if images will soften those who hold a negative image, those who find all this abhorrent. I don't know if that will soften in time, as kind of has been the American way. So we will have to see. And I don't know if you asked most of the people who showed up here if they choose to remember just the music. To the point Mike Taibbi raised, Lester, it's the Quincy Jones theory that everywhere he goes in the world, around about midnight, if you go past a club, a bar, the music switches over, you're going to hear one of the kind of iconic Michael Jackson classics come out of that place.
And I don't know if you were struck by what I was walking up here. There's a lot of very young people who stood in line to pick up those tickets yesterday, who registered online, who are here, that only remember a certain chapter in Michael Jackson's history. I was visiting my parents here in California yesterday, and my mother points to a cabinet. I open up, and there were my first Jackson 5 albums, the ABC album. Yeah. And I looked at that, and suddenly, you know, you're overcome by this moment of nostalgia, which again is separate from anything you may feel about Michael Jackson, that he was a part of a lot of our growing up, of being of the same age. And I think a lot of generations, as he continued to create these different chapters, people have identified. So we have to remember a lot of that is at work. This sense of, and I love the line, I've repeated it many times, that what one spectator called the soundtrack of my life. I think a lot of people, that's what brings them here, to celebrate the music and that time in their life.
Another way to put it is that you and I are in the generational sweet spot of this
well
music and the song catalog. Michael Oku is at the cemetery to tell us about what went on there earlier today. Michael? Okay.
Well, there's still not many details, Brian, about what actually happened.
Michael, we're going to go back inside the Staples Center. We've received a cue that the event is starting.
Part of my world, part of the fabric of my life, in a way that I can't seem to find words to express. Michael wanted me to be there for his children, and I will be there if they ever need me. I hope today brings closure for all those who loved him. Thank you, Catherine and Joe, for sharing your son with the world and with me. I send my love and condolences to the Jackson family. Diana Ross. Dear Jackson family, it is with great sadness that we learned of the untimely death of Michael Jackson. Michael became close to us after he started visiting and performing in South Africa regularly. We grew fond of him, and he became a close member of our family. We had great admiration for his talent and that he was able to triumph over tragedy on so many occasions in his life. Michael was a giant and a legend in the music industry, and we mourn with the millions of fans worldwide. We also mourn with his family and his friends over the loss of our dear friend. He will be missed, and memories about him cherished for a very long time. My wife and I, our family, our friends, send you our condolences during this time of mourning. Be strong. Nelson Mandela.
Smokey Robinson with some opening greetings here. We had gone to correspondent Michael Oku, and not knowing that the lights had suddenly come up on Smokey Robinson to read some of the greetings that came in from those who could not attend in person today. Lester, of course, Smokey Robinson, one of the all-time great artists in the music business in the past.
You know, and so many of the people that you will see here today, Michael Jackson would have idolized. And borrowed from and was influenced by Stevie Wonder, who we'll see a bit later. We'll talk about Michael Jackson visiting with him when he was 9 or 10 years old and how he soaked up everything and asked him, how do you do this, how do you do that, and how he saw that sparkle even then, that this was going to be an incredible talent. So it's an interesting thing that they are honoring him when I'm sure if the tables were turned, he would want to be a part of honoring many of these people. Just tuning in, we're not quite sure what this lull is going to lead into. We have heard greetings as expressed and conveyed by Smokey Robinson, and the crowd waits inside the Staples Center now. You know, Brian, so often, you know, covering any or attending any kind of funeral memorial, you get a program that lists moment by moment who's speaking and who's singing. We didn't get that. No. So we know the participants, but we're kind of with everyone else watching and seeing how this unfolds. You see the screen, the logo on the screen, that is pretty much a fixed image in the big screens that surround the Staples Center. The LAPD did that on purpose. They did not want people showing up thinking they could watch and listen to the proceedings in this huge several hundred-acre complex. So to dissuade them from doing that and to try to get the crowd to disperse, you see the umbrellas against the sun, they have taken any image down but that fixed image outside. Yeah, the closest spectators can get is a full city block in either direction, so they're not going to see much, especially the arrivals of any of the VIPs. From what I could tell coming in earlier, the crowds were not as intense as it had been anticipated, at least outside. The police, which mobilized this on very short notice under very difficult circumstances, seem to have done an admirable job of controlling the crowd. Folks have been, for the large part, respectful. You know, they waited patiently. They began coming, I think, about 8 o'clock. Many of them lined up outside, but again, it was all very orderly, no rush. Another aspect of this we should probably address, even though we're just underway, but it may be in the thoughts of people watching. This costs money in a state that is badly suffering for it. Yeah, you've heard some of the city council members have talked about it. There have even been pleas for Michael Jackson fans to perhaps donate to it. There has been open wishes that the family might want to contribute. We all know about California's budget crisis. All these agencies here are cash strapped. They budget, as the LAPD points out, they budget for extraordinary events, but you never know when the next one's around the corner. So it's a tough time for them, and as I heard one of the city council members talk about earlier, yes, it's a private venue, it's a private event, but at the end of the day, they still have to protect the people of the city of Los Angeles, and that's what they're sworn to do. By tonight, this will all be over here in LA. The day started really in terms of events that people watched at the cemetery. I tried bringing in Michael Oku earlier. Let's try again. Michael, what went on there earlier today, as we'll keep an eye on this?
Sure, Brian. Well, it looks like it's a very controlled scene down there at the Staples Center. I can say it was a very controlled scene here this morning when Michael Jackson's family arrived here by motorcade, and no less, I'm sure, an emotionally potent venue this was here. I mean, one of the police officers on site told me in a very private moment, he said, you know, this is it. It's finally setting in. The family arrived here at about 8:13 this morning. They left about 9:25, so the ceremony itself, we understand, took somewhere in the order of about an hour. And what we understand is that it was a closed casket viewing of Michael Jackson. The family emerging with a hearse. We did not see that hearse, obviously, when the family went in. And we were able to take a peek into the back of that hearse and saw what appeared to be a casket covered with red flowers and a very clear glint of gold. Again, I say controlled because the roadway here was closed. We did not see any fans immediately at the property, but across the way, about 100 yards, a football field away from here, in an open field where you have a clear view of this cemetery, there was a crowd that gathered and screamed as the motorcade went by. One of the very big issues, Brian, of course, was whether Michael Jackson was going to be buried here. We still don't know what the case will be on that. There have been rumors and reports that he wants to be, or wanted to be cremated, that his family wants to cremate him and spread his ashes in his beloved Neverland. Brian?
All right, Michael Oku, thanks. Again, Lester Holt is my partner here at the Staples Center. Lester, I just checked again with our folks. We don't know what's going on inside the arena. We're off to a brief start. Smokey Robinson, a few remarks, and now we have just fallen upon a pause.
And even those inside who were given programs really don't know, because the program wasn't a traditional program with an order of events. It was letters from folks to Michael. There was an acknowledgement of Katherine Jackson's great influence, and the fact this couldn't have happened without her. You have to assume this was, well, we know this was put together on fair short order. A lot of folks coming together on this. We don't know how much time, if any, they had to rehearse. So they may just be doing this as it goes along and working out the things. But I think what they're going to find is a very patient crowd and a lot of folks around the world who are going to sit in front of the TV set and watch how this all unfolds. And I think we're among them.
Nancy Giles watching this along with us, essayist and journalist and contributor. And Nancy, first of all, welcome to the coverage. And second, your take on just what it is we're covering here as a phenomenon and as an event.
Well, I'll say this. I was a little bit worried just with the fact that he's such a big star and Michael Jackson had so much celebrity and so much mystery surrounding him. I was initially kind of worried that this could turn out to be a sort of circus-like atmosphere. But I will say so far, I know it hasn't really begun yet. It looks like the scene at the Staples Center is very quiet, very thoughtful and classy. I'm really happy the family had a chance to have a private sort of celebration or funeral service with Michael Jackson earlier. And so far it seems to me to be striking the right balance between letting someone go who's unfortunately not with us anymore and also celebrating his life.
And Nancy, of course, we're in this unexplained lull in the schedule right now, and I suppose we should hold out the possibility for more surprises, additions to the schedule, and as may be the case now, deletions from the schedule.
Of course. You know, it sounds like there are enough big names involved in travel and egos and who knows what kind of schedule they have. Oh, it sounds like something's going on. Is there a little applause happening? No. Between all the different things that could happen, I'm sure people's schedules and whatever the mood is going to be there is going to keep shifting.
All right, we do have Courtney Hazlett of MSNBC inside the arena. Courtney, what can you tell us?
You know, it's interesting. I was just taking notes saying that I've never seen such a large group of people be silent for so long. I was trying to do the math, and I think for more than 10 minutes now, there's been basically, oh, there's some applause right now. But for almost 10 minutes, this entire group of people completely silent. We've been watching some of the family. I presume it's the family walk-in. When they go past certain sections, there's a lot of applause. And right now, yes, that's exactly what it is. Family right in front of the stage. I'm told that this is going to be a 90-minute service. Organizers have confirmed that with me. We are getting underway a little bit late, but that's quite honestly no real surprise when it comes to the Jacksons.
All right, so apparently the delay, Lester was loading family members into their seats from, we saw some of the cars, as you mentioned, there are separate entrances for family, friends, VIP, and members of the public. And we saw some of the cars coming in through what is normally the athletes' entrance here at the Staples Center. Yeah, they're coming in that way. And looking at the list, some of the folks you may not have known had a relationship with Michael Jackson. Kobe Bryant, it turns out, had become quite good friends with Michael Jackson. He's one of the participants here, a guy who knows the Staples Center from a much different perspective. And he will likely talk about his conversations in which Michael would tell him, you know, don't ever be afraid to be different. And we certainly know that Michael Jackson was different. But we will, I think, learn a lot about these relationships and how he touched different folks along the way here today as each has a turn to speak. Mike Taibbi out in the crowd. Mike, we could talk about the Jackson family, choose your generation, and be at it all day. As the family members come in the arena, some thoughts from you on the same subject.
Well, you know, I think one thing I've learned in the past week since Jackson died, Brian, and the story I did last week on the Today Show involved Michael Jackson and his 3 children. Prince Michael, Paris, his daughter, she's 11, Prince Michael's 12, and the 3rd child, Prince Michael II, who's known as Blanket, always has been in his family. And it's what's Michael Jackson, what was his relationship with them? And we spoke with Al Malnick, who'd been a longtime Jackson friend, lives in Florida, in Ocean Ridge, Florida, near Palm Beach. And he'd had the Jacksons down there, Michael and the kids and their nanny, a number of times. And he said that the really cool thing about it was that what everybody thought was an eccentric notion of Michael Jackson, that the only way he would go out in public with his kids if he had them veiled and totally covered, and it did look weird, it did look eccentric, actually worked. It achieved its purpose, because when the kids were down with Malnick's kids, and Malnick has 10 kids with his wife Nancy, they'd all go out and Jackson's kids would take their veils off and nobody knew who they were. They could just be a regular kid, all of them regular kids, and a bunch of regular kids. They can go to the movies, they can go to get ice cream and all of that, and the kids loved it, and Jackson loved that they could do it. And one night, we showed this on the Today Show as well, Michael said he always wanted to know what it was like to go to a supermarket and shop like a regular person. So Malnick, who has some influence, a lot of Jews down there, had a closed supermarket, opened at night, and had some ringers brought in to play other shoppers, including Jackson's nanny for the kids. And Michael came in and pushed a cart around and filled it up with all kinds of things, including Life magazine. That's when this was done, that had on its cover Elizabeth Taylor. I noticed in looking at the pictures closely, really an extraordinary story about Michael and the kids, which leads to the question, what happens to the kids now? Now there'll be a custody battle, perhaps, if Debbie Rowe, the biological mother of the 2 oldest of Michael Jackson's children, decides to challenge. She said she might not. Who knows how that's going to work out in the end. And then any of Jackson's 8 siblings, are any of them going to step up and want to take charge? Will the judge approve that? Those questions still to be decided in custody proceedings, which have begun and which will resume next week. Brian?
Mike Taibbi outside. We've also learned that when Jennifer Hudson and Lionel Richie walked in to take their positions, that was the reason for some of the applause we heard. Lester Holt continues to watch with us. And Lester, very few Americans find anything familiar about the life of the personal life, how he has lived over these past several years, certainly. And more than that, a lot of parents saw a heartbreaking moment when Joe Jackson, his father, in the immediate aftermath of Michael Jackson's death, came out in the driveway of the home in Encino and said the kids are inside with their cousins and they're getting along fine. You know, they haven't been around other kids. And when you think about it, of course they haven't. But and you realize the reasons for it, I guess, but how heartbreaking.
Well, and you think how reclusive Michael Jackson has been since that trial, even you could argue somewhat before, but that nature then surrounds everyone around him, and certainly his kids. But you know, we have to stand back, because I've watched this, and there has been a circus, you know, quality to this whole thing, and sometimes we have to remember that he was a person too. And certainly, you know, odd in the estimation of many of us, but, you know, he had children, kids that only know him as their father, a mother and father. And these people are grieving, and they are going through what anyone would go through with the loss of a son or a brother. But at the same time, he was such a over-the-top personality that it follows him into death. I mean, consider the fact that not only all these people have come here, Brian, there are 37 movie theaters around the country right now that are carrying this. That people are, you know, from Florida to California, walking to movie theaters right now and watching this. And as you mentioned, you know, around the world, I mean, I heard a dozen languages just making away from the trailer up here a little while ago. The interest is just beyond anything not anything, but very few things that we've ever seen and we've ever covered.
To Lester's point, Nancy Giles, who continues to watch with us, it is hard to get your arms around the media coverage of this. And, you know, as a friend of mine says, the American public has a funny way of deciding for itself what its major moments are going to be culturally, and what to be interested in, despite at sometimes the news media's better wishes. And this is an event because it is.
This is huge. I mean, I have never seen anything like this in my life. The closest I can think of this kind of reaction was when Princess Diana died 10 plus years ago. I'm staggered by the fact that there's so much news coverage that everything is literally stopped in the news today to mark the passing of this incredible musician.
George Lewis, I'm told, is now with us from that family compound in Encino, where it really has become a matter of media management, traffic management, and pedestrian flow over these past several days. It's been the location of so much of the public aspect of this grieving. George?
Yeah, I can say, Brian, that we have kind of worn out our welcome here. People keep asking the media, when are you guys going to leave? This street in front of the Jackson compound has been pretty much closed down because of all the media interest and because of people coming by setting up this makeshift memorial behind me. You talked earlier about the costs to the city of Los Angeles, estimated at $4 million and rising for protection for police services, because the police have to secure a number of venues, including in front of the Jackson House, including Forest Lawn, including the area around the Staples Center downtown. So it's pretty expensive in terms of police overtime. And because the city is in a huge deficit, over $500 million right now, several members of the city council have suggested that maybe the Jackson family or the people who own the Staples Center, AEG, should step up and foot part of the bill. And they've also set up a site on PayPal where Jackson fans can also help contribute to defray the cost of this. We'll see how successful that is. Brian?
George Lewis and Encino. For those just joining us, here's what's transpired so far as we look at these scenes from earlier today. Joe Jackson in the front seat. Joe Jackson, by the way, who started out his professional life a crane operator, U.S. Steel, Gary, Indiana. A couple of guys had a band that was based at the plant. That kind of put the musical germ into him. And then, of course, he discovered that this brood he and his wife were raising in this tiny saltbox home in Gary, Indiana, had the talent we all learned later that they had. When we've been talking about the scope of this as a kind of a global event, as a media event, when Smokey Robinson came out to read some of the statements of leaders really around the world, Nelson Mandela has today commented on the death of Michael Jackson. Lester, he may be one of the, when we take the long view of history, one of the towering moral figures of the last 100 years.
But he has to recognize, and I think as we all recognize, that love him, don't love him, love his music, don't love his music, that Michael Jackson took his place among those relative handful of people who made an impact around the world, and the name brings an immediate reaction, good or bad, around the world.
I'm told music is starting up again inside the Staples Center.
Good morning and welcome. My name is Pastor Lucius Smith, and I am proud to call the Jackson family my friends. To millions around the world, Michael Jackson was an idol, a hero, even a king. But first and foremost, this man before us today was our brother, our son, our father, and our friend. Michael Jackson was and always shall be a beloved part of the Jackson family and the family of man. And so today we gather those who know and love Michael best and those who came to know and love him through his good works. We come together in this space where only days ago Michael sang and danced and brought his joy as only he could. We come together and we remember the time. We remember this man by celebrating his life and all of the love that he brought to our own lives for half a century. Our hearts are heavy today because this man, this brother, this son, this father, and this friend is gone far too soon. But as long as we remember our time with him, the truth is, he is never really gone at all. As long as we remember him, he will be there forever to comfort us. In his very beautiful and very human heart, Michael Jackson wanted nothing more than to give love to the world, to share of his singular talent and his soul, and perhaps be loved back in return. Through his words, his music, and his countless good deeds, Michael did so much to try and heal our world. And so for the Jackson family, and for all who grieve his loss everywhere in our world, may this moment of remembrance, a moment of healing, a moment of music, and a moment of love bring comfort to those who loved our friend. God bless you.
never will say goodbye. No, 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 no. Even through the pain and heartache, we will be right there. Yeah, 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 yeah. Ooh, gonna be right there. Gonna be right there. Gonna be right there. Yeah. Thank you, Jesus. We miss you.
I'm here representing millions of fans around the world who grew up listening to Michael, being inspired, and loving Michael from a distance. All of you. Somehow when Michael Jackson sang and when he danced, we never felt distant. We felt like he was right there, right for us. You believed in Michael, and he believed in you. He made you believe in yourself. I've loved him all my life. One of the first records my brother and I ever bought was Dancing Machine. And I'll never forget the two of us trying to like get the robot going, trying to be like the Jackson 5. Thank you. Thank you. Michael was the biggest star on earth. He let me know that as an African American, you could travel the world. There was a world outside of America, other people. All you people who came here to pay respect to someone who you felt was one of you, a human being, first. This morning I spoke with perhaps one of our greatest poets, Maya Angelou, and I'm so honored that she asked me to share some words that she